It's time for Smart Money with Stephanie Bowles from SA3 Wealth. As we have some ideas and some tips for you and a checklist, basically, Michelle,
yes,
to give you an idea, Stephanie, of whether or not you need to really start considering getting a financial advisor.
Yes.
All right. So what should we first be thinking about?
If you're not a big fan of doing your finances, if you spend more time planning a vacation than you do your finances, you might want to outsource that and look at getting an advisor who can help you. Our expertise, we can get done what might take somebody who doesn't have a lot of planning background, cut that time down quite a bit to get the same thing done.
You said if you don't enjoy planning, working with your finances,
right?
Are there some people that really enjoy doing that?
And we can help people all the way across the spectrum. So I've some people who come in who really want to be absolutely hands-off. They want no involvement at all.
What seems to be the biggest opposition to people dealing with their finances?
I would say the biggest opposition that I see of people why they don't reach out to a financial planner is they're intimidated. They don't know where to begin, or they feel like this is stuff they should know, which isn't necessarily the case. There's so much that goes into finance that you're not going to have the same expertise as somebody who's done it for 18 years, 40 hours a week. So I think the intimidation factor has held some people back from seeking out help, but there's risks to not seeking out help too. If you get a good financial planner, what you pay for their services should pay off in multiples for what they're saving you.
Because I think, and two, people think maybe they need to be at a certain level with their finances before they need a financial advisor as well. So maybe kind of talk about that a little bit.
And there are spectrums of client from one end to the other. We work with clients who are just getting out of college, trying to give them that good foundation of, okay, with your first job, this is what percentage you should be saving. This is how much you should be putting toward your student loans. Here's how to build an emergency fund. So, we work with clients from just getting started, because that's where we really make the biggest impact on people, is if we can get them on the right path to begin with. 10, 15, 20 years later, it's so much easier for them.
That would actually be a really wise thing to do if you're just getting out of school and you're starting your career, rather than just trying to wing it, like I'm sure a lot of people do. Sit down with somebody that says, okay, let's lay out a strategy for the next 20 or 30 years. And we do more
counseling with young people that age, because they don't have a lot of assets to manage yet. There's not a lot that we need to actually manage for them. More so is just give them good advice. Get them on the right track.
What's the biggest mistake people make when they first come out of school like that, when it comes to their finances?
Overspending, under saving, getting themselves into obligations that lock them down a certain lifestyle path with car payments, maybe a higher rent or house that they maybe shouldn't be paying quite so much on. The biggest thing I see is people deferring student loans or paying only a minimum amount, and then it's starting to accumulate higher and higher values, and then it gets to be this snowball effect. And student loans can kind of sneak up on people a lot.
Now, is that one of the things when people first come out of school, being a financial advisor that you are, is that one of the first things you want to tackle, is getting rid of those student loans? Or is there other things that are more important than that?
It really depends on their particular goals. If they're really focused on trying to get a house, well, maybe that's what we're focusing on, and obviously making sure other things are aligned as well. But it's really personal based. If that's the big focus for them, then that's what we focus on. But some people have different ideas of what's important to them when they first come in.
So if somebody, for people that maybe haven't seen a financial advisor before, since we're kind of talking about, explain just kind of what that first step for process is. Are they having to bring in all of their paperwork? Do they come in and just kind of talk to you a little bit about maybe what their needs are, where they're at? Kind of explain that for us a little.
So some people who are very organized will say, hey, can you give me a list of what should I bring in? And we do, if that's what they want to do, and they can bring in their tax returns and their statements and their life insurance policies and whatever they want us to kind of take a peek at. But then we have other people who are like, I don't even know what I don't know what I don't know. So, and we'll literally just sit around at the table, have a cup of coffee and talk. And just kind of get an idea, start planting seeds of what's important to them, helping them kind of just start off setting some goals. And then we can always follow up from there if we need to get statements or get stuff. That's always something. We're not going anywhere, they're not going anywhere. So we can always follow up on stuff if they don't have it when they first come in.
Does it surprise you that some people that might, I keep going back to just getting out of school, that they're just getting out of school and their vision is only for the next year or two rather than being down the road?
Yeah, and that's where a lot of advice from a good financial planner can help people is really, this is the first time they've been through this experience, but we deal with it every day, and we've seen people on all kinds of different paths of life of, what's the impact of doing what you're doing when you're 20, and then we see the impact of that because we work with people in their 50s and 60s too. So, you can see the impact that making good decision makes, and you can also see the impact of, not making those decisions early enough, the impact that that makes too. So having our expertise to kind of guide people from all the different walks of life of experiences that we've seen with our clients. Are
there things that when they're looking for a financial advisor that you would advise them to keep an eye out for when trying to pair up with an advisor or a company?
Yes. So experience makes a difference, because somebody can say they're a financial advisor and they just passed the test last week. That doesn't necessarily mean they have a lot of experience, or it doesn't necessarily mean they have the same competencies as somebody else who's been in the field. Like we've, combined, our firm has got probably over 100 years of experience between all of us advisors. But when you look at, the expertise, the competencies, like I have my CFP, that's another, on top of your regular education, you got another 2-year certification and massive amounts of continued education and ethic criterias. And so finding out, what their competencies are, and then also, how they work. Like our firm's independent, we don't represent any companies. And we don't represent any products, so we can a lot of times just have a conversation, and it's counseling. Sometimes it's making sure that they can get, if they need to have a portfolio managed, we're not limited to what investments we can look at. We can look at whatever's on Securities America's selling agreement, which if it's not on there, there's a reason it's not on there.
Okay.
So I think, looking at what conflicts of interest an advisor may have, are they independent? That would be something I would be really encouraging people to do. Competencies, and then how much experience they have in what your specific needs are.
All right, let's continue on down your checklist here. Why you would need a financial advisor. You might want to turn to a financial advisor. Another thing you mentioned is if you really have no idea if you're on track for retirement.
So if I asked you, how much do you need to retire on, and most people don't know that number or have a basic idea of what that number is, that's probably a good sign you might want, and you don't know how to find that out.
Now that number is different for every person, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is no hard fast number.
Nope. I tell people all the time, I'm like, you could retire today. Everybody could retire today. You just may not like the lifestyle that provides you.
Yeah, because there are some people, and there were some folks that say, I want to retire by the time I'm 55 years old, and they're adamant, I'm going to retire at 55, but there is a way to get there and be able to do that if you have the right plan in place.
Yes, and the earlier you want to retire, or the longer longevity you have in your family, the more planning that you need to be doing, because that money's going to last longer. So, if you're retired at 55, you might have a 40-year retirement. You might be retired longer than you worked for.
Wow,
so
that's a very good thought. Didn't even think about that.
So you've got to be very diligent with a plan of, it takes good saving to be able to retire at 55 and be able to keep pace with inflation. That's another thing I see a lot, where people, do the math and, they want to retire 55 or 60, and they can afford to retire that year. They maybe have a fixed pension or something like that. But if you don't consider how inflation's going to kick in, 20, 30 years of inflation, everything's 2 or 3 times what you were paying that first year of retirement.
And you also have to realize that in the early stages of your retirement, you're probably going to want to do a lot more things.
Yes. So you have basically 3 stages of retirement. You have kind of your very active years, your first 4 years of retirement. And then you have, the years where you're not quite so active. And then you have what are called your advanced retirement, where you tend to slow down. You might start having some health issues and needing a little bit more extended care and help along the way.
Right. You might not be spending as much on travel, for example, but you might be spending as much or more on medical.
Right.
So very good advice.
Yes, very good. And they're kind of, taking action. The sooner we can take action on that, the better off we'll be.
And high net worth people, if you're paying more in taxes than you think you should be, high net worth are probably the ones where an advisor can be very creative of finding ways to help you hit your goals a little harder, maybe bring in some more tax efficiencies, things like that.
A little more to work with.
Yeah, well, and a little bit more complications too.
So I'm guessing if someone is out there watching right now, they're saying, something, you're piquing my interest. I might be interested in getting a tax advisor. I'm sure you could run down the list with them, again, if they give you a call, couldn't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and just to determine whether or not you need to come in, or simply just come in. That'd be the easiest thing in the world to do, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't charge for a consult, so certainly no loss there.
Well, then we have our answer and what we need to do. And how do we get a hold of you?
Why wouldn't you?
Yep, so our contact information's at sa3wealth.com. You can get a hold of us through our phone number listed on the website, and we'd be happy to do free consult with somebody.
That'd be the 327-8475 number.
Yep, that's my direct number, yep.
Okay, perfect. So talk to Stephanie. She's the lady that knows everything when it comes to becoming your financial advisor and the best advice possible. Thank you so much.
Sounds like you make it an easy conversation for people too. That matters.
Yep.
Yeah, and give you a little bit more comfort too.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Come in touch.
All right, it is 7.